it's a dude with chainsaws coming out of his head and arms. So
Yeah.
what's not to get hyped about?
Yeah, this is also an incredibly gory show.
Oh yeah, if you don't like blood, if you don't like guts, if you
Although-
don't like barf, you
I
better
will
walk
say,
away.
it actually really wasn't as bad as like some people made it out to be. Because
Maybe I feel like it's more of a word jaded because people literally got compressed into nothingness and exploded. So
that didn't bother me. Like, it's not
yeah,
like.
because you're jaded.
Well, no, it's because I've
You're
seen
fucking jaded.
I've seen the ending of Akira, which is like body horror to the max.
You are jaded. You've already seen it. It's already.
I don't know.
I don't know. I think the thing is if you're a person who does not like blood, guts, and barf, this is not the show for you. And turn back now.
I don't know.
Bill is too jaded.
The compression scene was more just kind of they got smushed and then turned into jam. So. Hey guys, I'm Bill, a one-time Instagram blogger and now a podcaster.
And I'm Alex, the chaotic neutral,
And together we are the Gaming and Collecting Podcast
a brother-sister duo,
that talks about gaming.
and also anime.
And don't forget the collecting, sometimes.
Ah, forget it. We're just a nostalgia podcast at this point.
But anyways, guys, thanks for joining us as we discuss the games that shaped us. This is where I'd say, so how you been, but Alex ruined the first take, so now let's get going.
No, I didn't ruin it. You ruined it because you're no fun. Screw you.
Alex
I
thought
threw
it.
a tuna at you.
Yeah, you thought it'd be funny. The problem is, none of it picked up on the mic, so it was just this awkward silence.
Change your freaking mic.
Not how they
Make
work.
it better.
Anyways, how you been?
I was great until now. Wait, when did we record last?
Friday.
Oh, it's only Friday. Yeah, that's why it doesn't seem like it was that long ago.
No, because last week you got sick like halfway through the week, and
Yeah. Well, update. I'm feeling better. My cat is staring at me. She frightens me. I'm scared. Oh, I got 3 anime figures this weekend.
yes,
last
she did.
weekend. I got me,
They left such an impression you can't even remember.
no, I do. I got Toto from Jujutsu Kaisen, and then I got a Luffy figure, and then
Of course,
because I love Luffy.
you
He's
really
my
wanted
best boy.
you really wanted that life-size Luffy figure.
Yeah, I mean, wouldn't it look great in my window?
Of course, I was thinking on the front lawn.
On the front lawn.
Yeah, right at the front of your driveway.
You
As
know,
a-
I mean, like, it's a choice.
As a figurehead.
It's a choice I wouldn't make. But, you know. Oh, and then I also got Veldora. But in his, like, hot human man form rather than his dragon form from Slime. So I got 3 figures. So, until he's still staring at me, I'm scared. And then we binge watched 2 series this weekend.
Yeah, that we're going to be talking about today.
Yes. Until he shat on the floor.
Yep, she did.
She pooped on the floor. And then proceeded to hide it in a towel. Because I had a towel from, like, where we showered to step out onto. And then, like, I come into the bathroom. I was like, what's in the towel? And then I look, and there's a freaking turd in there. And then I shoved her face in it and, like, unfurled it to be like, look what you did. And then she proceeded to cover it up again. And then proceeded to take another poop in the box in front of me. So I'm still mad at you, Tilly. I just told her I'm mad at her. So that's been my life.
I'm sure she cares. She doesn't care.
Did you just burp?
No.
Did you gurple?
No.
Gurpy gurp. Oh, I finished Trigun. So I watched Trigun Stampede. I watched original Trigun, and then I watched the Trigun Badlands movie too. So I've been Trigunning, and I really like Trigun. And when the manga comes out again, because they're re-releasing it, I'm gonna buy it.
Mm.
I like
Speaking of
Trigun.
manga, I picked up.
Some mangoes.
Yeah, I picked up Oshinoko Volume 2, so that's going to be interesting.
I didn't know that was a type of mango.
Whatever.
What are you drinking?
A Liquid Death.
That doesn't sound pleasant. I'm drinking a lemon perfect hydrating lemon water. This one is kiwi starfruit. I'm a fan of these. They're pretty good.
I see.
I don't. Where am I? I can't see. I can't see.
Yep.
Bill hates me. He just doesn't want to say it, but that's how he feels, right, Bill?
I'm not going to comment on that.
You can be honest. It's fine. This is a safe space. If you want to say
This bit is getting old, and let's move on from it. Well, anyways, so as we said before, we watched a couple animes because this is now time for our next iteration of Anime Swap. We're doing back to back. We're doing back to back anime episodes because screw it.
Bill doesn't give a shit anymore.
Well, before we were still pretending we were 100% a gaming podcast. Now we've just kind of admitted that we're like half and half, and it doesn't really matter what we post anymore. So, yeah, we're doing another anime swap because that's our thing we do. You know, this is the second one we've done over the computer.
It is.
Yeah, the only other one we did over the computer was the first one.
It is?
Yeah.
Huh.
Because all the other ones we usually recorded at your old apartment or downstairs.
Now I have a house.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of houses, I was going house hunting.
Yes, that's what Bill was doing. He looked at one down the street from me. Literally just the opposite street of mine.
I mean,
and it was really gross.
Yeah, it was. Like, the people clearly did not
take care of it.
Yeah, and like they also didn't leave a great first impression for it was one of those things where we showed up and we were like, oh wow, this one's gonna go fast. Look at the amount of interest. And I'm pretty sure everybody was in and out of there like in like 3 seconds. So
yeah. I mean the thing is that I mean as someone who's gone through the house hunting process, it's not gonna you're not gonna find your first one.
No, I wasn't intending to, but
and it's better that you look at a bunch of options first, and then because when you really find a place, it'll be great. It'll be great. Like this place. I love my place.
I'm aware.
I love it. I love it.
Well, anyways,
but you can't be my next door neighbor. That would be weird. No.
Yeah, if I have the money, I can do whatever I want. So.
No.
Anyways,
I quit.
No, you don't. This joke's also getting old. Let's move on.
Never. I will continuously quit until I unionize with Tilly. We're gonna unionize.
Good for you. Now, anyways, so moving on.
He doesn't give a shit.
Anime swap. So we decided for this one we were gonna go with a
12 episoder.
Some 12ers for this one because
it's
even
more manageable than Black Clover and Yu Yu Hakusho.
Even like 40 something episoders were a bit long, so then we could easily knock these out in like a minute. Like in a like we literally finished the first one in a day.
Yeah.
And like almost half of the second one in one day. So these ones are fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I guess moving on, I guess to start off, so we went with some pretty new ones this time around. One of them's almost like 2015, 13. I think it was.
2013.
Was it 13?
Yep. It's 10 years old.
Doesn't feel 10 years old.
Oh. Never mind. 2015.
Oh, you looked at what it's inspired by. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I saw that I got confused.
All right, I was going to say, I swore it was 2015. I mean, that's still pretty old, but not as old as you'd think.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, the first one we watched was Death Parade. Alex has been hyping up Death Parade for about a year now,
I
so
have. I've been trying to get Bill to watch Death Parade for so long because I think it's like such an underrated show. Um it, it's one of those shows I feel like just fell under the radar for a lot of people because it was just a 12 episoder. It wasn't so the thing about this one is it wasn't based off a manga, but it was inspired by a film called Death Billiards. Um and from there that inspired this series. So there was no manga backing it. There's no really anything. It's more of just it took this film and it kind of created its own thing based off the film.
it took the idea of the film and basically built a series around it.
Yeah. What was that?
What? What?
I heard like a psst sound. Oh, you're opening a can. Okay, I couldn't figure out what that noise was. Um. Anyway, so uh, so I have been telling people about it forever, but basically the whole plot of the story is that whenever someone dies, they're sent to this mysterious bar run by bartenders, um, and no, but they're actually arbiters, serving as arbiters, in this tower, in the afterlife. Um, and there, when people arrive there, they have to compete in death games. So basically, it's like the first one was a game of darts, where this couple came in and it was a game of darts, and um, all of the games end up being like tied to the person either physically or mentally. So in this game, in the darts game, it was whatever body part on the dartboard that you hit, that would injure the core of the person you were against. So if I say I was playing against Bill and I hit like the arm like on the dartboard, Bill would feel pain in his arm. Um so in these situations, they're basically these death games. Um are basically so that they can kind of get a better picture of who these people really are. The arbiters are kind of sent these memories, like memories, and I like how they have it because they actually have them like combined into like these stained glass windows, which is really neat. And they're sent to the arbiter, but they can only get so much out of just looking through memories alone. So they basically have them playing these games and manipulate the situations as well. They have like a little remote controls that can actually change the course of the game. If someone's winning, if someone's not winning, they can basically like if I threw the dart poorly, they can make it so that the dart does hit. Even if I was throwing it poorly on purpose to not
Hmm.
hurt someone. Um, and it basically ends up kind of honestly just breaking the people. Like it gets
both
pretty
both theoretically and physically.
yeah, I mean theoretically, physically it just really tears them down and then from there that's how they make their decisions on who goes to heaven or who goes to hell or if they both go to heaven or if they both go to hell. And it's not really heaven or hell, it's more of if their souls get banished into the void, which would
The
be
void.
hell. And then if they're sent for reincarnation, which would be heaven. Um, but the series follows the main a bartender known as Deckham. And he's
Who's
the only
voiced by um I say this because you won't be able to
Alex
unhear it.
Organ.
Alex Organ, who is the same voice actor as Lloyd from Spy Family. Once you hear that, you will not be able to unhear it because it is literally the same voice.
Yes. And Deckham's he's a weird guy, but then also remember that so these arbiters, they basically have them one of the rules of this whole of deciding on who gets reincarnated and who does not in these death games is that the arbiters have to be unbiased. So they actually create them so that they have no human emotion and they can't so they can't, you know, it's like if I got in a car accident and then I saw like maybe I went to somewhere and I saw someone get in a car accident as well, like you know, you'd feel bad for them, like, and then you'd kind of have that connection. Um, and in this, like, they don't have that, so they don't have any of those feelings. But Deckham's actually a little special. Um, he's supposed to have no human emotions, but in a risky experiment by Deckham's boss, he does have human emotions. So he's pretty special.
But he's not really aware of that at
No, he's
first.
not, but he also does things unconsciously. Like one of his hobbies is he actually collects the mannequins, which after so basically when people enter the world in the series, they basically it's basically paint on a mannequin, and when their soul either goes to heaven or hell, the paint disappears. So what's left over is these mannequins, and he takes the mannequins, and one of the things he did unconsciously, which I think was his almost mourning for the people who are passing on, is he would actually dress them like the people that he had sent to be reincarnated or um, banished into the void. And so, like, they'd still live on, but he doesn't understand why he does it. So it's like he has those emotions, but he doesn't completely understand them at the same time.
Yeah. Or his as
Another,
his boss describes them as weird hobbies.
yeah. Um, the other character that is the main character is Chiyuki, and she's actually a human.
Although you don't know that for like the first half of the series. In the first half of the series, she's just the black-haired
Well,
girl.
no, you don't know that until like the third episode. It's really
Is it the
so
third episode? It's I
no,
thought it was like
yeah,
I thought it was like third to last
no, you just
episode.
weren't paying attention.
When did they say her name?
No, I'm no. Oh, not her. I thought you were talking about her being a human.
No, no, I knew that. I meant her name doesn't get like revealed till like
Oh, okay. I was like, what are you talking about? Yeah, no, her name. She's kind of known as the black-haired woman for a while, because when she initially is there, she has no memory of her life or her real name, so she's simply referred to as the black-haired woman, and she works as an assistant for Deckham, um, and over the time she's learning the methods used by arbiters to judge human souls, and she's also helping Deckham learn about human behavior. um, so as you go on in the series, you're basically following Deckham and Chiyuki, and they go through and doing his role as arbiter, and she's assisting him, and throughout the whole time, you can definitely see him having eternal struggles because she's pointing out like the human aspect of like these were people, these were someone, like we can't like you can't just decide based off one thing. Like
mm,
in the my my favorite episodes are probably the first two
yeah, because
where
like the one of the big key moments is when the first episode revolves around like basically just explaining how the whole good versus like heaven versus hell kind of thing works.
yes.
Meanwhile, the second episode shows it from the point of view of Deckham's boss and the black-haired woman, Chiyuki.
Hmm.
Um, and what's interesting about this is in the first episode, it's the whole plot of the couple is essentially it's a couple on their honeymoon. They died on their honeymoon, and the reason why they died was they got in a car accident. And it all kind of gets revealed that the husband thinks the wife was cheating.
Hmm.
He was super jealous, and he was so jealous that when her phone rang in the car, he crashed the car over a guardrail, and they both
And
died.
they both died. Yeah.
And it's kind of left ambiguous whether she was cheating or not at first until it's basically flat out revealed that she was.
Hmm.
Um, but then you kind of in the second episode they question the fact of like whether because she was also pregnant at the time they questioned whether the child was actually his or not, and it's
Hmm.
kind of ambiguous. Although I think it's implied it was his, but she said it wasn't just to get rid of his guilt or whatever.
Yeah, and that was why, and that's one the interesting part is that, so during Deckham is basically doing his role as an arbiter, Chiyuki and Nona, Deckham's boss, are watching from the background and kind of discussing it, and after they send the wife to basically the void and the husband to be reincarnated, she basically says like, maybe you needed to look at it like this. I didn't see it as this way. And it's like I think one of the first big um points where Deckham is like kind of surprised and like thinking about it and tapping into those human emotions that he has.
Mm.
Um and then through the rest of the series, there's different games. Like at one point there was the couple that were doing the bowling, that were bowling, and you found out like, and that was actually a really great episode too. Is that they both had a friend, and um the friend moved away, and she had always loved him though, even though he loved her friend, um and like it was really sweet, um what he did, even though they both kind of realized they were dead. But at the end, they still chose that, hey, like, let's still go on our date together. Like, let's do this before we, you know, move on. Um, and one of the scenes that's I think is one of the greatest scenes in that episode is when they are going to both in the elevators, because that's how they go to either the heaven or hell. And this character, one of the characters, like, she had gotten plastic surgery because she was not happy about who she was and she wanted to change. And part of what she did in the surgery was to look like their friend. Uh and in the elevator, it shows half of her face is like her true face, and then half of it is her like changed face, and it was very like kind of powerful scene of and they both ended up being reincarnated. But
Yeah. One of
there's
the more
there's
powerful moments in every episode too is like when it cuts to the end of the elevators. It'll
yes,
first show the doors up close, then it will back away, and you'll see the signs above, and they'll either be the devil or the angel face, basically saying whether they went to heaven or they went to hell.
and it's one of the things that's so great about the show is, especially, is that like you really like it leaves you like it's such a tough place because you feel bad for both of them. And sometimes it's just like the next episode was the arcade one, and it was like I felt like one of the things that I think is the most impactful is like when they realize that they're dead. Um and that like this isn't like a reality TV show. This isn't a thing. Like they're dead, and they like, and when they have to accept that is probably one of the toughest things. And like,
Like the nerdy shut-in who killed himself, and then he finds out that his stepmother actually did care about him right after it was too
yeah.
late.
Well, and it wasn't even that like he realized that. It was more like he found out that. It was more he kind of realized how much he was pushing her away,
Mm,
and she was reaching out, but he like refused to, take that olive branch. And then the other one was like she was a reality TV star, but she basically like had a really rough life, and she was finally kind of getting her life together, and maybe she wasn't making some of the best of the choices, and but she was doing it for her family, and like she ended up like getting like murdered by like her assistant. And at the same time you're like she was a jerk to the assistant, but did she deserve to die? I don't think she did. And it's just like they're all great. Like they're
yeah.
all
That was
um
kind of like a moment where it's like you see her die and you just kind of go like you're like that was brutal, but like I don't really feel bad at the same time. Like it was one of those kind of things.
yeah. And the story continues with um following like Deckham. At one point you actually run into another character, Ginty. And he's another arbiter. And he actually has to at one point, like, he actually is making fun of Deckham and saying Deckham isn't like smart, like Deckham can't do this job because Chiyuki couldn't be passed on to the next life. Um and but then the same thing happens to him, where he actually ends up having someone that he can't pass on either. So he ends up in
Yeah.
the same
Who
situation,
has the
which is pretty
most
funny.
saddest yet amusing death in the entire series?
Oh my god, yeah, she died via the shower butt naked. Everyone's worst nightmare. Um
Yeah, she slipped on the soap and broke her neck.
yeah.
Yep.
Um and throughout this too, like we're kind of getting like pieces of like who Chiyuki is. Like one of the things that keeps popping up is this storybook called Chavo. And like as you're going on, you're kind of digging more and more, and you're kind of learning a little more about Chiyuki, but it's little small bursts throughout it. Um,
Like when you see the figure skating costume in her closet and she has no idea what that is.
yeah. And then hint hint, it's part of her life. Um, and then like one of the ones that I think is one of the most like shocking, intense episodes is when so two of the guests come up, and one of the first things Deckham realizes is that one is that there's a murderer, and he's like, I don't know if I can do this because he's pretty new to being an arbiter, and this actually ends up spanning over 2 episodes, and it was actually a pretty good plot twist when you learn that both of them were
Yeah,
murderers. So
the
it's
the
like,
well, it's fun because this one plays with your expectations because you see this like one of them's like a young like teenager and the other's like this older like sketchy looking guy, and then you slowly start realizing the older guy is actually a detective,
yeah,
and it becomes an interesting reveal where it's like you're kind of confused on who's the murderer is because it kind of makes you think both of them are, and then surprise, they both
they
are.
both are, which is pretty. And they both get sent into the void, like, which is interesting because like for a lot of the episodes, it's like usually one gets reincarnated, one goes to the void, and this was one of the ones where both of them got sent to the void.
Well, this was the opposite of the one where it was the two the childhood friends and they both got sent to heaven. So
Mm. And the story goes on, and then like the next person they run into is actually um really helps Chiyuki.
Actually, real
Um
quick though, before we do that, I actually wanted to point out one thing though that we kind of glossed over with the second episode. Well, the second pair of people.
mhm,
Um, what's interesting is the first episode really kind of like pushed that whole like the two of them were turning against each other during the game kind of aspect. In the second case, there are a couple moments in that one that play with your expectations, where you actually wonder if the same thing's happening here. But
mhm.
then you find out that it's just them contemplating, and it's them kind of just quietly accepting things, which I thought was an interesting playing
Yeah,
with your
because there
expectations.
definitely were points where I totally thought like the boy was going to turn on her when he was kind of slowly getting his memories back before her.
Mm,
Because that's the thing, they don't like instantly get their like when they come into this world, they have no memories of what happened, and slowly as they're doing this game and being put into these intense situations, that's when their memory comes back. And sometimes like it's one and the other, sometimes maybe it's like really similar timing, but in that point in that story, like the boy was getting his memory back more than the girl was, so he kind of was knowing things that already happened, but he wasn't like acting upon them like you would think like
mm.
the other couple did, where they would react instantly.
Well,
um
one of the most touching moments in that entire scene is when the girl finally gets her memories back, and she has to stop, and basically she's like, "Listen,
I'm
I have
not
to
who
tell."
you
No,
think I
well, she basically said, "Listen, I have to tell you," and he cuts her off basically and goes, "I already know. Don't
Yeah,
worry." Like he
yeah.
doesn't care. Like he
It was
he was just happy to see her. That was the thing.
yeah. Um and let's see. And then one of the next guests is actually pretty wholesome. It's just this little old lady who comes
Mm,
in. She's actually an author for children's books. She didn't write Chavo, but they actually have her play Old Maid. And one thing you realize is kind of um the old woman is kind of going through her process of Deckham deciding if she should move on. He's also kind of, you know, doing that with Chiyuki as well, and Chiyuki is also retrieving her memories throughout the process. And she's getting, she's ready to be, you know, move on in life. And the
mm.
next episode is probably one of the best episodes in the series because this series went ham with the ice figure skating budget, and the music because it was just wonderful. Oh, and this episode starts out. I just brain farted. What was I talking about? So Deckham asks Chiyuki to perform ice skating. as he noticed that it was a large part of her memories, and he thinks that she'll gain even more clarity, um, in memories if she skates. So he
Well,
has her
also by this
perform.
point too, you got to remember her physical form is starting to disappear because she's
Yeah,
been.
she's been in the world for too long. They aren't like humans aren't meant to be in that world. So like she's noticed like I said, they're mannequins with like almost a paint on them. And that kind of represents their soul, and hers is kind of slowly peeling and picking away. So she performs her ice skating, and as she's performing, you're seeing the flashbacks of her life, and it's pulling together her story. And then suddenly, um, her knee, like the paint on her knee,
Yeah,
it comes off and it
right at the
reveals.
same time as when it reveals what the career-ending injury that she sustained that basically led to her eventual death.
Yeah. Um, and it was just like a powerful, very powerful scene, because then it does show like she fell into a depression where she and one of the things that I really appreciate is that she said how she kept it in, and she didn't let anyone know. And this is really important for like the next episode, too, because like she kept it in. She didn't want anyone to know. She didn't feel like she could tell anyone. And it shows like her in the hospital, and her friends are coming, and slowly, like the friends start fading away, and she has so much self-doubt that like she isn't who she is without, skating, and
Well,
that
it's like a symbolic thing where it's like you can have a hobby that you're really good at. You can make friends around that hobby. But if you don't actually take the time to really build up the friendships around it, the second
yeah,
you're no longer in the hobby, those friends aren't going to stick around.
yeah. And it's hard, and it leads her into a serious depression where she eventually kills herself, and that's how she ended up there. And after that, um Deckham and her have a final drink together, and he puts her to sleep. Um and um he asks to be sent to her memories. And the next episode is really powerful because it actually shows when she wakes up, she's in basically, it looks like she's back home. She's back home, and she sees her mother, and it's her home. And of course, like she's not actually there. And it's all
Hmm.
a setup, but Deckham just really wanted he this was the only way he could figure out like how, if she should be reincarnated or if she should be sent to the void.
He gives
And
her
he
basically the ultimate test of
yeah,
he gave her the option of like if you press this button at the cost of one random life that you don't know on the planet, I'll give you your life back.
yeah,
Which is a pretty or you don't hit the button and you just that's it.
yeah.
And it's one of those very tempting offers because it's
At one point it seems like she's going to do it.
mm.
But
But then
eventually,
she has the realization of like that one person's life is no greater than hers. So why
yeah.
should she take that away? Also, like there's a small percent of chance that it could be her mother that gets taken from her at the same time,
Hmm.
just because that's how it works. Um, Also touching on this scene, it's another very powerful thing is it puts a perspective on like the aspect of what like a suicide does to like the family around
Oh, yeah.
the victim because
It
it really shows that like just because it what you thought was like a way out, you've basically condemned like all the people that did care about you to like a life of misery because of it, which is a very powerful scene that's not really touched
No,
upon
yeah.
in animation or
It
fiction.
no, it definitely was. Like it puts you into perspective. um and I mean, like, we're not saying anything, like, obviously anyone who's contemplating suicide
Should go see
is
talk to
oh
someone and
yes, go talk to someone, but they're obviously in like what feels like the worst moments of their life, and you make in those moments is where you make decisions that like could change everything.
mhm.
So not yeah, but it's a very powerful scene, and it's actually the interesting because like Deckham breaks down because he's never felt so many emotions, and like they're so powerful and painful, and
Mm. To the
he
point where
falls apart.
when she decides not to press the button and instead tells him he should press the button,
Yeah,
it basically causes this fake reality he created to completely implode because it can't handle the emotional outburst that he's going through.
yeah. Um, and after that, they end up going back to his floor, his bar, and he sees Chiyuki off to be reincarnated. Um, and it's a sad scene because Chiyuki's also accepted her death at this point.
Mm,
And I just honestly, I know some people might not like the ending, but I loved how like ambiguous the ending was, where it kind of left off with Nona saying we need to find a better, there needs to be a better system. Like this proves that we need to truly understand human behavior, and maybe we need human emotions for that. And
mm.
Deckham welcomes new guests to his bar. And one of the things that Chiyuki said before, seeing him off and he seeing her off, was that he should try and smile more. And of course, he doesn't really know how to smile at first,
And it's very
um,
awkward. And
but when
she's
he
basically just like close enough.
but when the new guests come in, you can see that barely noticeable smile. Um,
And then the
and
camera
next to
pans
it,
over to the side of the bar where the mannequin that represented Chayuki has been placed in the bar so that she's forever a part of it.
yeah, and I love this series. I thought it was perfect just the length it is, and I think it just really uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh no. Okay. Whew. I thought my computer turned off again. It was just the monitor. Woo! Wow. My monitor just really loves to ruin the tone of the episode. Um but yeah. What a good depressing dark
Can we talk about
time.
how the opening is like not fitting to the
Oh
series at
yeah,
all?
yeah, yeah. Since we're already changing the tone, the opening flyers is so awesome, and it just doesn't fit the theme at all.
It is like
It's
way too high energy for what this show's tone is.
oh yeah, it's like literally the first like line is like a oh yeah, like it's like
Yeah. It's also a funny because it's like one of those like because this show doesn't have a source material, it doesn't really have a distinguishable art style that like is fit to like the author, so it kind of uses like the Madhouse standard art style, which I think works in
hmm.
this show because they did it very well.
Yeah. No, I think it's done very well. And I think there's still like ways that like you identify like this is a Death Parade character with like the unique eyes
Mm.
and just the costuming and stuff. But I don't know. I loved this series. I'm so glad I got you to watch it. I hope you liked it. But
I
you don't have
enjoyed
to
it.
lie to me if you didn't like it.
I enjoyed it. I gave it an 8 on a mouse, so
That's acceptable. I will accept that.
I mean it's better than a 6. Seven's my usual generic, like I liked it and put it at the bare minimum spot, so I gave it an 8, so that says something.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. I think it's a great series. I think it deserves better than what it gets.
It goes by quick, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, it definitely does. But you're so and one thing I want to point out too, I kind of mentioned it briefly with this skating scene, but the music in the show is wonderful.
The ending credits theme too is very much a bop.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
Another thing I love about the ending credits too is depending on the episode, you'll occasionally get like when it cuts to the when it shows the credits, it actually will show like scenes from the people who in the elevator. It'll show scenes from their lives, like
Yeah.
going up to that point, which is kind of a nice way to close off the episode.
No, it definitely is. Um And I was just thinking more of just like the background music, because like the music while she's figure skating, which I think is like called the name of the episode, which is like Memento. I don't know what it is off the top of my head, but I love that song. Like that's like one of my I'll put that I have, like, a playlist that's just, like, these nice, like, piano and, perfect for, like, getting work done or studying when I was in college. And that was always on it because it was just I just love the background music. It fits the tone so well.
Hmm, totally. All right. So moving on now to the second show we watched.
Yes. You like
So
chainsaws, Bill?
do you want to talk about one of the most hype shows that's come out in like a year?
And I mean, I don't we're not gonna spoil anything, but like it deserves the hype that it has. We're just gonna say it. It does.
Yeah.
It's very good. Like we
Yep.
like this show, so
Yeah, we'll say that. We'll say it too though. Like, um,
the barf scene.
we'll get to that.
How
This
dare
one
you?
is. I'll say that this one is very new. Like this only came out last year.
Yeah, like the manga only came
Well,
out
the manga itself,
2018,
yes.
which is relatively new.
Yeah. So the manga chain. This is Chainsaw Man, by the way. We're talking about.
Yes.
Um,
If you didn't get the do you like chainsaws?
or the barf
Or the
scene.
barf. Yeah. Probably the barf
Um,
more, in all
so
honesty.
Chainsaw Man is the second manga by artist and writer Tatsuki Fujimoto. His second work following Fire Punch. And Chainsaw Man Chainsaw Man took the world by storm, I have to say, because this thing literally came out of nowhere and suddenly like it's everywhere, like on every manga shelf. Everybody's hyping it up. When it got an anime series announced, people were losing their shit. It was probably one of the most hyped new series I think in a long time.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's a dude with chainsaws coming out of his head and arms, so
yeah,
what's not to get hyped about?
yeah, this is also an incredibly gory show.
Oh, yeah, if you don't like blood, if you don't like guts, if you don't
Although
like barf, you
I
better
will
walk
say,
away.
I will say, it actually really wasn't as bad as like some people made it out to be. Because
Um, maybe I feel like it's more of a word jaded because people literally got compressed into nothingness and exploded, so
that didn't bother me. Like it's not
yeah,
like,
because you're jaded.
well, no, it's because
You're fucking jaded.
I've seen the ending of Akira, which is like body horror to
Exactly.
the
You
max.
are jaded. You've already seen it. It's already it
I don't know. I don't
I
know.
don't know. I think the thing is if you're a person who does not like blood, guts, and barf, this is not the show for you and turn back now.
I don't know.
Bill is too jaded.
The compression scene was more just kind of they got smushed and then turned into jam. So
I know, but it's like the the creepy factor. I feel like well, we'll get into it. We'll get into it.
yeah, I mean, I think there's just so I will say, like, you go to the you go to the manga store and like you look at the manga and the ones that are wrapped. If they're wrapped, they're usually because, as Alex says, they're either incredibly gory or incredibly porny.
Yeah.
Um,
Sometimes both.
yeah, usually the latter more than the former. But I pointed out that Chainsaw Man is not wrapped, so it's not nearly as brutal as some other things out there.
It's still pretty not great.
Well, yeah, the main weapon of choice in the show is chainsaw.
Yes.
There's nothing
Coming
not
out of his brain.
in arms.
Yes. And feet.
Yeah, that was a reveal.
Yes.
So we're not going to talk about the whole manga because I haven't finished it,
Oh,
and
is it
B,
finished?
no, it's the first art, the first section is finished, but I'm not going to get into it because it's I
I
don't know
need to
enough.
read it.
Yeah, I gotta pick up from where the show left off. Because believe it or not, the anime adaptation, only 12 episodes so far, only covers the first four and like half of the fifth volume of the manga. So
Yeah.
not a whole lot. And there's currently only 11 volumes out in the States. So
Yeah. I mean, honestly, though, that kind of makes sense with most shows. 4 volumes is actually pretty. I'd say for 12 episodes,
yeah.
I'd say that's pretty good.
And
Um.
you'll know there'll be a season 2 because this thing is a mega
Oh yeah,
success.
definitely.
But yeah, so I guess getting into Chainsaw Man. Chainsaw Man is an interesting story. It takes place in a world
Where
inhabited,
devils exist.
yeah, inhabited by both devils and humans. And the devils are born from the fears of humans.
Yeah.
Um, so
It has also we saw so many like Jujutsu Kaisen like almost
well,
like
it's Studio
cross.
Map, it's Studio Mappa, so I
Oh
mean it
no, but
makes a
I'm
lot of
just saying like
sense.
even like when you just said that now, it's just kind of like how curses are also created by human fears and skepticisms and stuff. So I just made that connection. I was like, huh,
Yeah.
you know.
So what's interesting about this show is like it takes place in like an alternate timeline to like our world, where the Soviet Union still exists. So it's like alternate universe 1997. Soviet Union still exists. The Holocaust never happened. AIDS never happened. Nuclear weapons have been erased.
Oh,
But instead, we have devils that
yes.
are born from humanity's fears. And the show revolves to start around this character named Denji, who is a boy whose father,
Impoverished.
yeah, whose father was seriously in debt and ended his own life and basically doomed his child to be forever in debt as well.
His mom also died like giving birth to him too.
Yeah,
So
so it's
he kind of had no one growing up.
yeah, and he's basically been told by the mafia that
Got to
uh
pay up or
yeah, he's
get
basically
wrecked.
get paid up or we're gonna cut you to pieces, as they said.
Yeah.
Um, so and then following that scene, it shows Denji gets approached by a demon dog looking thing, which is a chainsaw dog, which he names Pochita. And
Don't get attached.
yeah, sorry, Liv. Yeah, don't get attached, because so Pochita essentially is injured, and in this world, devils can be healed almost instantly just by drinking human blood.
Yeah.
Lovely. Um,
Yum.
so Denji offers some of his blood to heal Pochita in exchange for Pochita basically being his companion.
Yeah.
And the two of them basically work together, basically killing devils, so he can pay off his debts,
Father's dead.
which takes off a lot of which is going to take a long time. And at the same time, too, he's selling parts of his body, including his eye,
Yeah.
his kidney, one of
One of
his
his balls.
yeah, as he says.
Sorry, mom.
Um, and it gets to the point where they're like literally living paycheck to paycheck, like won't do any like doing anything basically to get money so that they can get bread because that's all that they can afford. To the
Hmm.
point where they're even eating out of the garbage at times, and to the point where even like one of the mafia members basically tells Deji, "I'll give you like a yen if you eat this cigarette," which he does.
Yeah. Very
Because
willingly.
yeah, well, no, he spits it out right after they drive off. But yeah. So the next day they go. He gets brought on another call, and they surprise the mafia, tricks him, and they backstab him, and essentially they made a pact with a
A
zombie
zombie devil.
devil that made them all zombies and gave them uh powers in exchange for the fact that they're now zombies and have no humanity left.
Yeah, and the devil basically controls them.
Yeah. So Denji gets brutally murdered and thrown in
Yeah.
a dumpster after they ripped him to pieces.
Yeah.
And Puchita basically, because of his blood is everywhere, Pochita gets a little bit of his blood, which heals Pochita. And Pochita decides basically that he
Well, so it was shown in like a flashback where Denji asked Pochita if anything ever happened to him, like if he was gonna die or and Pochita was gonna die, that he should take his heart. Um
well, he said take his body.
yeah, take his body. Um and that's like what Pochita did in order to save them both.
Although
Um
it's not quite in the case of how it works normally in that series, because in this case, Pochita doesn't take over his body. He essentially tells Denji that he's going to replace his heart, and he wants him to live all these things he wanted in exchange.
yeah.
So Pochita then merges with Denji's corpse and basically puts it back together
Yeah.
at
Also
the cut.
heals his eye,
Yeah, well, he basically
presumably his ball.
heals everything else. And then Denji reawakens now with a pull cord coming out of his chest.
As a human devil hybrid.
Y- yes, a class of his own in a way because he's not
No, yeah.
he's very unique, let's just say, compared to the to other characters we'll meet later. And basically he pulls that cord on his chest and becomes the titular chainsaw man and then proceeds to completely wreck all the zombies.
Yes. Which they deserved.
Oh yeah, like it's very satisfying to watch even though it's also like extremely gory. And yeah, so following that, then he's completely wiped out the uh entire yakuza. Yeah, why am I saying mafia? It's the yakuza. Duh.
Yakuza.
Um, he wipes out the entire yakuza, and then a group of devil hunters, or
Government devil hunters.
public safety as they're called, show up because they were supposed to go and take care of this, and they're surprised to see, oh, it's already taken care of. And the leader of this group, Makima, basically comes in and recruits Denji because she sees the potential in whatever he is. Although it's kind of implied she knows more than she's letting on.
Yeah.
And Denji then joins the public safety, and he gets partnered with another devil hunter named Aki Haki Hayakama or Kawa.
Aki haki.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I don't do names well.
Yeah.
And then we get kind of revealed to like the whole story of what's going on, where they're trying to face off against this extremely powerful devil known as the Gun Devil, who is essentially a devil created by the fear of guns because this is Japan where
Yeah.
guns are not commonplace.
Yeah.
And
Well, I mean,
essentially,
like, I think people in general also have fear of guns. So,
yeah, but it's
regardless
not
of if
nearly
it's Japan,
it's not nearly the same in America as it is in
I
Japan.
don't know. I don't know. I think it's up for. I think it's also probably a play on like gun violence as well. Probably. But let's not dive super into that. Basically, gun devil is really bad, and they gotta take him out. And
But
but
he's
one of the
also a
things is,
devil that's so fast that it's never been seen.
yeah,
And the only
like
way to track it is these small pieces of it, which are
little
essentially
bullet
little
flesh,
bullets.
bullet
And
flesh.
they need enough pieces of it so they can get a big enough piece that'll gravitate back towards the originating point.
Mm.
And basically it goes from there where now they're kind of going on devil hunting missions, and then we get introduced to one of the best characters in the show.
Mm.
Her name is Power.
Yeah,
She's a
Pav.
fiend,
She's a fiend.
which is
Who
essentially
likes cats?
a fiend in this universe is different from Denji. They're a human that's been taken over by a devil.
They're a dead human.
They're essentially a devil that's using a human's body.
Yeah, a corpse.
Yeah. So,
Specifically, they gotta be dead.
well, they're still living, but they're now someone else is
Well,
using the body.
yeah, but the human was dead.
Yeah, the human's gone
Yeah,
at this point. And Power's a fiend, and she is a blood fiend.
yes,
She likes cats,
she
and
does.
she has a pet cat named Meowie.
Mister Meowykins.
Yes.
Yes,
And
yes.
I'm not going to go over the whole thing note for note, but essentially they kind of all do a few missions, and they kind of,
Well, Power like tricks him
yeah,
because she wants to save Mister
and then
Meowykins.
she gets tricked,
Get
gets
tricked.
gets like deceived because of course she does, and Denji ends up saving the day because that's just what he does. And it also reveals that like his chainsaw powers actually like cause him to lose blood, and he needs blood to function because chainsaws coming out of the arms would do that.
Mm.
But yeah, so then next we get the next arc, which is the team is paired up with another group of
Oh
members
God.
of public safety who are wonderful characters.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
so the next group is, oh yeah, also Alex pointed out earlier the Jujutsu Kaisen parallels. Denji, Aki, and Power are literally like it's the trio from
Of like Yuji, Megumi, and Nobara.
yeah, to the point where it's like
I mean, they're not exactly, but sometimes like it's just funny. Like they're they have the same energy going on.
yeah. So anyways, though, moving back to the other group, we get introduced to three more operatives of public safety. We get Himino, who is Aki's original partner, and she's Um, her power is that she has a pact with a ghost devil because she gave her eye away, and she smokes a
Yes.
lot. It's part of her character.
Yes.
And then her two apprentices are, um, I believe it's Hirokazu Arai, and
Mhm.
then Kobeni. I can't pronounce that. Sorry.
Nah.
She's nervous. She's a nervous wreck. That's all you need to know.
Yes.
And they have to go on this mission basically to find another piece of the gun devil, and it's in this like apartment complex, and they end up killing off this like tiny little devil that Len later ends up being this much bigger devil that traps them on the floor. And a very funny scene where they continuously go up this set of stairs and they never progress
Mm.
to the point where like they all start going slowly insane.
Yeah. Well, because I mean, just imagine if you're like every time you go up the stairs and you come back down and you see everyone, you're just like, oh god,
Yeah.
help.
But they eventually the devil reappears and it's much bigger now, and it basically reveals that it wants
Well, that wasn't its main body, in that like
no, in that
you
it's
have to
all over
find the heart.
the apartment building essentially,
Hotel.
and hotel, yeah, whatever. Um,
Hotel, hotel, hell.
and
Gordon
essentially
Ramsay needs to come
what
and fix that hotel. Gordon Ramsay could have fixed it.
I don't know.
Him and his hotel hell. No,
But
I'm kidding.
essentially, the devil wants the chainsaw heart to die, which essentially means they want Denji to die because it's afraid of the chainsaws.
Yes.
And eventually,
Understandable.
like it gets to a point where like all of them are like losing their mind. They're all like, "Let's just kill Denji and get it over with." And Aki's kind of like, "I don't think that's actually going to work."
Yes. He's like,
Um,
guys, I've been around for a while. I don't think this is gonna help.
yeah,
Let's try something else. And crazy bitch is like, I'm gonna stab you now.
yeah. And Kavini like straight up loses her mind and starts like running around with a knife. Great gif potential there because there's some great like jump scare gifs going on.
Oh yeah.
Um, but yeah, there's also some really deranged fucking animation in this show.
Oh
Like
yeah.
some of the faces are
Wonderfully
like,
so.
holy shit. But yeah, eventually, like it gets to the point where Denji just basically says, "Fuck it, we're never gonna get out of here." Also, they drop the f bomb a lot in this show, which is
It's
hilarious to
wonderful.
me because I'm so not used to that being dropped in most animes these days.
Mm.
But yeah, it's very prominent here, which is funny. But Denji just basically says, "Fuck it," and basically he's like, "I'm just gonna go. I'm either gonna die or I'm just gonna fight this thing until it gives up."
Yeah.
And that's
Um,
basically what he does. He just keeps on fighting it until it eventually just gives up. And it's like, here's my heart, just end it, put me out of
well,
my
because he
misery.
also realized that he can also drink the devil's blood.
Yeah, and just heal himself. So
Yeah,
it
so
ends up
it's
just
just like a constant like of him healing himself and then continuing the chainsaw on the devil he's fighting. It's just like, please just fucking kill me
yeah.
already.
And it's implied
Please.
the fight went on for like 4 days.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they eventually defeat them. They get another piece of the gun devil, and they all decide to go celebrate. And this is where everyone's favorite scene happens.
No. It's
Because
also one of the most like kind of when you think about what happens after, it's kind of like it introduces you all to these people and then like
yeah, don't get attached to anybody in the show.
yeah,
That's all
don't
I'm gonna
get
tell
into
you.
yeah, no, don't.
But yeah, one of the things too is like Himeno basically made a promise with Denji that if he defeated the devil, that she'd give him a kiss.
Yeah, with tongue
And
specifically.
Denji's entire character is literally he's because he literally
Horny
didn't live.
bastard.
Yeah, he didn't live a life. He loves like the most simple minded things, and he's horny as fuck.
Mm.
And so he's like all for it. And of course, the irony is when he finally gets said kiss, she Himino is drunk as shit to
It
the point where she,
farts in his
yeah,
mouth.
vomits during the kiss, and it is lovely. And they censored it in the anime, which I find
It wasn't well.
they, the censoring honestly makes it funnier than it should be. 'Cause
No, it was gross.
I laughed. I thought it was funny. I was like, why'd they censor it?
I thought it was nasty.
It's a great scene though, and yeah, then Denji wakes up in her apartment later on, and they almost do it.
Yep. But then he's like, nope. Makima.
Yeah. And then literally following this scene, everything goes to shit.
Mm.
Like
Yeah,
literally,
no, literally everyone gets bullets to the head.
yeah. Some more than others, and essentially, like we lose half the characters that we just met here. Like basically everybody other than Denji, Power, Aki, Makima, and what's the brown haired girl's name again? I forget.
I don't know. I just called her Psycho Girl. Crazy.
Kobeni. Kobeni.
Kobe.
Yeah, basically everyone but them dies, like
Mhm.
brutally.
Yeah.
Like
Well, and one of the sad ones is like uh
Himeno.
not yeah, Himena's death and
Well, because she gives up her entire body to the Ghost Devil to save Aki, and then the Ghost Devil gets one shotted by this like
yeah.
by
And
one of these characters who
well,
made
and
a pact.
it's not even that it was one shotted because you later find out it was
Well,
like
she kidnapped
consumed.
it. Yeah,
Yeah, it was consumed by the other devil. Because later on, they come across it again. Um,
this is also
but
where we find out that Aki has a pact with a curse devil, and essentially every time he uses its power, he cuts years off his life to the point where after he uses it to defeat another similar hybrid to Denji, known as like the
Katana.
katana man, basically.
Yeah.
Um, he has 2 years left, essentially, after this.
Mm,
And there's also the scene where Makima is supposedly murdered on a train,
hmm.
except she's not,
No.
because shocker, there's something else going on there. We don't know
Yeah.
yet, unless you're Alex, who spoiled it for herself, but that's besides the point.
I did.
Um,
I want to know if she was actually dead. I was like, I'm sorry. I'm
why
a bad
that should have
person.
been obvious from the start, but
I'm a bad I can't help it. Okay,
yeah.
leave me alone.
Well, inevitably there's going to be a twist in the manga, so um, yeah. But anyways, so Makima isn't dead, and she meets up with a bunch of monks at a temple, and she then essentially one shots everybody using her power, and it is what Alex mentioned by
Smush, Snooky, smush, smush.
yeah, basically.
We were calling her Snooky throughout the rest of the show.
If anyone's seen the South Park episode we're referencing, you'll understand.
Yes.
Um, yeah, and this scene is like dark because literally like they all get like wiped out, and then we're proceeded to find out that uh Kobeni didn't actually die. I think that's her name.
Yes.
Kobeni, yeah. She
And
didn't
she
actually die.
actually
And then
does something helpful.
yeah, she's surprisingly confident when she needs to be, and basically takes out all these things and helps Denji because Denji was cut in half at this point.
Yeah.
That happened off screen, like during the fight,
Legs. Legs for days.
but
But no.
he can put himself back together because
Yeah. Because the
that.
next scene, he's like, fine.
And then we get this wonderful scene of Power and Denji training to fight the Katana Demon, and they just get their shit wrecked every day by
Well, before that though, like they're actually in Aki's hospital, and like Aki also gets told an ultimatum of like, hey, you should either quit or you're gonna have to get another devil to contract you, or else like you shouldn't do this anymore.
yeah. Oh, and we get introduced to like the greatest devil ever, the dancing one.
Yes.
And like I love him because his whole thought is like when he basically he's like, all right, you want to make a pact with me? Let me look into your future. And
Yeah.
he's like, all right, let me take over your eye. And he's like, oh, you're surprised I'm making it this easy? Let's just say you're gonna die a violent death.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh,
And Aki's just like, yeah, I already know.
Aki doesn't
Get
care.
on with it.
He's like, whatever.
Get on with it. I got 2 years left. I'm gonna live them the best that I can.
I don't think. Although at this point, it's very clear that Aki doesn't care anymore. He's just done
Yeah.
because he's lost basically everything he cares about.
Understandable.
And yeah, so they train for this upcoming fight. Basically, you see Denji and Power get wrecked a lot by the guy voiced by Jason Douglas, the Beerus, Eat Your Tomatoes guy. You know,
Yeah.
um,
Eat your tomatoes.
your love or hate isn't the issue. For anyone who gets that reference, good on you. Anyways,
I hate it.
so yeah, then we get to the final climax, which is fucking awesome, where like
Yes.
you get all these different fights going on at once. Like Aki's getting his revenge on the Snake Girl,
Yep.
and then Denji's fighting off the
Well, and that's actually, I think, one of the best scenes in that fight too is when he is getting revenge on the Snake Girl, because that's when it reveals that the ghost devil, like, she has control of it, and um it actually sends like a message to Aki through like a cigarette, because that's kind of one thing that they had.
Yeah.
And he's actually able to defeat her very easily.
Well, because he
Um,
remembers that Himino had told him at one point that it doesn't it doesn't have eyes. It sees via fear. So if you have
yeah,
no fear, it won't touch you.
it
And
can't.
he literally walks on top of it and cuts its head off, like just
Yeah.
in one shots it to the point where and it literally traumatizes the snake girl. I don't know her name.
Mm.
Sorry. Um, and to the point where she just gives in and later dies brutally because she made a pact with the gun devil and the gun devil wasn't going to let her get taken.
Yeah, that's like one of the things that's like, it's a little
Yeah, that scene was great because it was both shocking and hilarious.
yeah, like,
Because because a she gets brutally murdered, but then also it was another scene to traumatize Kobeni more because
yeah,
that's funny.
because she was like, ah,
That girl gets
um
traumatized in every scene she's in.
I mean, like, she sometimes deserves it, sometimes, not all the time.
Yeah, oh, her backstory is fucked up too. Like,
Yeah, it was like her family either told her it's like be a
yeah,
prostitute
she
or
needed money to pay for her brother's tuition.
education, not
Eh,
her. And
not
she's
her.
like, I just want to go to college and I have to be either a devil hunter or a prostitute. I was
Yeah,
like,
that was
Jesus.
basically her choice. So she chose the devil hunter. Also, the funny joke about she could have quit when she had the chance, but she stayed because they're getting a bonus soon.
Yes.
Yep. But yeah, the final climax is Denji versus the Katana demon, and such
Devil.
a great
This is an
de-
Inuyasha build.
whatever. Who cares?
I care.
Guy with sword versus guy with chainsaw.
Yes.
Um, and that fight is awesome, especially the ending where like you think Denji's about to lose because his like chainsaw head part actually gets cut off.
Mm.
And just as he's like walking away, basically telling Denji like you should never like that you never could have won. Denji basically goes, "Hey shithead, you shouldn't have gone for the head like a dick." And
Yeah.
then then he all of a sudden the katana devil just like splits in half down the center, and it's like surprise! I had a chainsaw in my leg the whole time.
You're like, meh, eh.
And then and then afterwards, it's revealed that he didn't actually die and that he's just tied up now. And
Yeah.
then Denji and Aki proceed to kick him in the nuts repeatedly, and that's
Well, the best part is like, you think that Aki's not gonna do it. He's like, "Is this really what we should be doing?" And then Denji's like, "Aw," and then he's like, "All right,
then he's like, you know what? Yeah, let's do this. And
let's
then
do it."
it literally ends with them just beating the shit out of the
Kicking him
guy
in the nuts. Because
before
as
it.
you, well, and it's like kind of funny. It also, when you think about it, it's also kind of full circle, because remember Denji and Aki's first meeting was Denji repeatedly kicking him in
Him
the
in the
balls.
nuts.
So
Yeah,
it's full circle, and it's almost a weird bonding moment between the two, like where they're finally like on
yeah.
the same page, and they get each other.
Which is
So
really fucked up because Aki's doesn't have much time left either.
I know, I don't want to hear it.
And then you get a great scene of him, Power, and Denji just hanging out, making dinner, and hanging out at his apartment. And then we get the mind fuck of the episode where we get this like kind of like spoiler for something that's clearly going to be in the future with this door that Denji's not supposed to go near.
Yeah.
And then we get a cut of this black-haired girl walking in the background, and it cuts right there. It ends, and it's like, what the hell?
Who's
It's like
that?
it's like you bastards. I
How
mean, of
dare
course, I have to
you?
go read the manga now because I want to know what happens. But yeah, Chainsaw
Yep.
Man, 12
Chase.
episodes, and a lot of shit happens.
Oh yeah, a lot of like very
And
much.
we did a terrible job explaining it, but
I
there's too much to explain.
There really is, and it's very psychological and like body horror, and it's got all the good stuff.
It's we. I guess we are jaded though, because like this show did not affect me at all.
No, it didn't really affect me either.
Like
Um,
Akira affected me when I watched that the first time.
yeah,
Perfect Blue affected me when I watched that the first time. This, Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I
It's
liked
too
it.
late now. You're too. Oh, also, we gotta talk about that intro.
Oh yeah, that fucking. Oh yeah, this show likes the fucking bass, and I'm all
Oh
for it.
yeah, Kickback is a great bop. But honestly, all the I went on
So
Spotify and
a
you can.
great thing with this show, it's 12 episodes. The intro is the same for every episode, which is awesome because it's a great intro. But the outro is different for every episode, and they are all fucking great.
They're all bops.
Yeah,
Enjoyed all of them.
show soundtrack is just generally really good too, and it's very much pretty much confirmed at this point that there's going to be a second season.
Oh yeah, like there's no chance it won't get one.
I mean, with
Which is
how
awesome because I mean it was a great show. Really enjoyed it. So
yeah, with
let's
how
get
fucking
more.
big Chainsaw Man has become, I mean, it'd be dumb not for it to not like not get a continuation.
Yeah.
Also, the vomit scene.
No.
Enough said.
No.
Apparently, it's even better in the manga.
No. That's the one thing I don't want to see. No, thank you.
Well, you don't have to technically because you don't have to. You can start from like halfway through volume 5 if
Good.
you really want.
I don't plan on reading that chapter
So
again.
I gave this one an 8 as well. That might change in the future with like after reading the manga, I might have a different appreciation for it.
Hmm.
I'm not sure yet because we've done our top tens multiple times on this show. I'm not sure if it would break the top 10 yet. I'm gonna wait and see on that until we read more.
I think we definitely need to revisit it. I think we should do roundtable again next year. Because my
We gotta
top
get
ten's already changed again.
we gotta get the Fight Club back together.
We do. We gotta get the band back together. The band.
All
We're
right.
a band now.
Slade, Jared, Kevin, Matt, we're calling you guys out.
Yeah.
We're gonna bring it back.
We're gonna bring it back because my top ten's already changed. Ah!
But yeah, I love Chainsaw Man. I like Death Parade. Honestly, I'm looking forward to the manga for Chainsaw Man. That's for sure. I want to get into that, especially because Volume 12 is coming out pretty soon, and that's the start of Part 2. So yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah. So which one did you prefer? I have to know because you're the you're the Death
Well,
Parade
so
obsessant.
I mean, like I love Death. I can't really compare them because they're two
Well,
so different
that's the
shows.
point of this. We don't compare. We're just
I know, but I like can't say which one's my favorite because like I don't know. Like
well, is Death Parade still on your top 10 now? That's my question.
probably yes.
Is Chainsaw Man?
Um, it's like getting there. I'd say Chainsaw Man would be in my top 20.
Okay, so Death Parade is still a bit higher in your
I
eyes.
just I love this Death Parade story.
Well,
And
Death Parade is also neatly tied up. Chainsaw Man, not yet. We're still getting there.
yeah, that's
so.
the thing. There's still more I want to see. There's still more I want to know. I definitely want to dip into the manga though. I'm very interested in that.
Well, it's kind of like when we talked about Jujutsu Kaisen and Spy Family. That one was interesting to me because both those shows are still going, and both
Mm.
those mangas are still going. So there's a lot still potential with those to grow. One of them is done, and the other one is ongoing. So it's a different kind of a different look overall.
Yes.
But yeah, so I think I gave
so-
both of them 8s.
But I gave both of them 8s.
All right.
Oh, Tilly's playing with Mr. Bubble.
Good.
It's a cat toy. For those who don't get it. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my god.
All right. Well, I think that is a good enough time to wrap it up. And anyways, guys, once again, thanks for joining us on the Gaming and Collecting Podcast. The Gaming and Collecting Podcast can be found on all your major podcasting platforms, particularly Apple Podcast and Spotify. We are made on Spotify for podcasters. And you can follow us on social media. You can find all our links on Linktree / The Barber Who Games. And you can join.
Follow me on LinkedIn. Just kidding, don't.
That'd be weird. And yeah, you can join our Discord where like we talk about anime, we talk about games, and
it beans.
yeah, that's I guess our running gag now.
Sorry, I just poked Tilly in the eye.
Don't do that.
I
But
didn't
yeah,
mean this.
so once again, guys, we'll see you all next time.
No. Meh.